Sox fans didn't see this type of resilience in previous seasons. I'm bringing up the transactions page for the White Sox, and when you talk about what has gotten them to this point, we've used a lot of guys. We use a lot of guys to get to this point, and I'm sure most teams have, but we've used a lot of guys that were like, we're kind of just rolling the dice. You saw our names, the White Sox name associated with a lot of previous first round draft picks. I mean, I'm not. Kelenic is the name I was trying to think of. There's a lot. There's definitely more than a few. Drew Romo was a previous first round pick, I believe. But we kind of rolled the dice on a lot of guys, and to be frank, we didn't. Not all of them hit, but honestly, more hit than you would have ever expected. So this starts to make you wonder, as a Sox fan, as even a fan of the league, you look at, is this something that the White Sox are going to continue to build into their model, that we're just going to keep taking first round draft picks that other teams have kind of given up on and give them new life and put them with, hey, like, look at all these other guys that were kind of brushed off and like, they're not going to make it. And now all of a sudden it's a competitive team. You're bringing out the best in players. I think that's really important. But when we talk about transactions, recently they acquired Jake Rogers, with being his fourth team of the season. He actually hit a walk-off home run against the Mets on Friday, so that was really cool to see. That was for our 67th win, I believe. Edgar Caro, I've talked at nauseum on the show about him. I'm not going to focus too much on him now, but again, you look at all the different moves that the team is making to try to get through this month of August specifically, and I will say, like, August has felt the most questionable of any month as to me as a White Sox fan. I feel like it definitely could have turned out worse, but I don't know if White Sox as a fandom ever truly felt confident with the amount of games we had in the division lead. So again, just making small changes and trying to keep what's working, continue to keep that working, but also inject some fresh blood in, bringing up some more guys from AAA. And I'm also really interested to see what they do with September call-ups there. Um, Again, going back to kind of where we're at with the 67, getting to our 68th win, I kind of wanted to take a look at. I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at the what I have here is Fangraphs has a player standings or a leaderboard feature where you're able to have batters for player stats only for the entire season with a minimum playing time of 20 plate appearances. And I genuinely believe that this tells a lot of the story with our 68 wins so far. Seeing a name like Randall Grichuk at the top. Yes, he has been a platoon bat, but we picked him up from the Yankees. We, I believe, only threw him against left-handed. We only threw him in platoon for the most part, for the first how many games of the season, and I mean, a 155 WRC plus. He is leading the team in weighted run created plus. And again, having someone like that you can plug and play in given situations, I I can't imagine. I can imagine a time where we get into the postseason and Grichuk is hitting a walk-off home run in the ALCS, right? I'm not saying this is going to happen, but there is a chance. There is a true path to getting there, and that is what this White Sox team is. Other names you see that have really contributed this year on the offensive side, Murakami, once again, someone we got in this offseason. You have Miguel Vargas, someone who wasn't really doing that well going into the season, but then has now picked it up, changed their swing a little bit, and has really felt like he's come into who he is as a player, as a man, earning his first All-Star selection which has been a super cool story to watch. And if you've watched this podcast, I wasn't sold. And to be honest, I'm still worried that I don't know if it's going to continue past this season, but at this point, I could care less because he's here and the team loves him, and he seems to be a glue guy, if you will, and he brings the slug. Obviously, there's some things to improve on, but again, being able to adjust over the course of the season. Uh, Miguel Vargas actually has the most games for us this season at 128. So that's also your one piece that has been the most consistent and not injured. Rounding out the top five, I'm gonna do top six because I have to. Sam Antonacci, I first saw this guy in the WBC this year. I didn't. I had paid no attention to him in the Sox system, and I'm assuming a lot of Sox fans didn't. And maybe that's on me for assuming, but when you see him walk up to the plate and he actually celebrated an achievement within the last couple games. He now has a single season record for hit by pitches within the White Sox organization, which is like I don't like it's just weird. It's those types of things that have gotten the Sox to this point in the season. Moving on to our banana boy, Tristan Peters, who is hit for the cycle, who was also named to the All-Star team. I believe he's had at least two walk-off home runs or walk-off hits this season. He just had his second one. He had his another one against the Mets on this past Sunday. So again, just a beautiful story. I can't tell you if it's going to be sustainable, but it's just so cool to see it happening and being part of it happening. And finally, so I don't want to spend too much time on all of this, but rounding out it with my favorite player on the White Sox right now, Chase Mydroth. Again, someone that you wouldn't necessarily say like, yeah, he's gonna be a top six offensive player on a White Sox team that potentially goes to the playoffs and wins the AL Central and goes to the playoffs. It's like no one was saying that, and just his poise, who he is, what he brings. Again, he's actually tied with Tristan Peters for the second most games played for the Sox at 125 for this season. It has been wonderful to watch Chase play and kind of find who he is as a player, going through his bouts of, is he a slugger? Is he the same guy he was last year where he's getting on base a bunch? And I didn't mention this with Sam before, but kind of seeing him, Chase and Sam go back and forth for that leadoff spot has been really cool as well. So again, you see a lot of pieces that whether this year does, no matter how far we go in the playoffs, you see a lot of good things from very young players where we've had multiple managers speak out in their post game interviews saying that they like to see what we're building. Like they see what the White Sox are doing, and they're like, you better watch out. I remember Pat Murphy saying something about it earlier this year. Um, and again, it's all everyone's pulling from the same side of the rope, if you will. A couple other things regarding what got us here. I brought up the Fangraphs same split short on the stats we've got from this entire season. I'm looking at all of our pitchers. Our leader in ERA is Grant Taylor with a 2.12. Now, I'd like to think that most people thought Grant Taylor was going to find it and be really good this year, but to see him do it in the way that he has been so cool. He just has the whatever mentality he needs to be a closer. I've heard mentions of him continuing to work to possibly be a starter next year. They really like him in the role that he's in right now. Obviously, he did take that majority closer role, but technically he's just a high leverage pitcher. Whatever inning that ends up being in 6, 7, 8, 9, they will just throw him. They'll throw him for one. They'll throw him for two, and he just keeps stepping up, and it has been wonderful. Just going through the top three here. Sean Newcomb, We signed him to a 1-year free agent deal this offseason, kind of hoping that continues. I really hope we bring him back. He has been, you know, he's not Grant Taylor, but he's another one where you could see him potentially being part of a future rotation if we did transition him to a starter. And then Jordan Hicks with a 3.23 ERA before his injury earlier this season. It feels like you couldn't have relied on him for anything. And all of a sudden, he comes back from his injury. Now, he has had a couple of I guess, normal outings recently where, go 2 or 3, not giving up anything, and then he'll give up 1 or 2 runs. But I anywhere between 9 and 12 scoreless appearances right after the injury, he came back from the injury, it has been so cool to watch him kind of come back. Again, you start to see what the White Sox were looking at when they pulled these guys in, when they were identifying, when they were scouting for other teams. You'd like to think they, at this point, that they kind of know what they're doing. Again, is it sustainable? That's the question. But at this point, I don't even know if like the fans care if it's sustainable, and more just let's just see what happens this season. Let's figure out where we are, and ultimately what will come of it is what it is. That's in the future, right? And kind of what I want to. We are already 26 minutes in the pod, and I wasn't kind of expecting myself to go down this route, but I think you've seen and heard the stories throughout the season, how they all have one through line, how this team has come together through different outlets, whether it's a trade like Jordan Hicks, whether it's a free agent signing like Sean Newcomb, it's bringing an international free agent who we weren't expecting like Murakami, and everything just kind of working in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, the rest of the teams in the AL Central kind of left it open for us to take if we wanted it, and there's still a chance that the Sox only end up in the wild card, or potentially fall out of the race altogether. But at this point, I just can't believe it. I can't believe that would happen. I really can't. They would a lot of things would start to have to go wrong for that to occur.